Greetings all, and welcome to Daily Pali Reading. Today we are going to explore a description of the Dharma, a fairly popular description. Think if you go to tipitaka.org and use their search function, I think this shows up in the 20 to 30 times category in the Pali Canon. This is how we normally find this description of the Dharma. But in the Dīghanikāya, we have this, it's the exact same thing as here, but there are these three words added, and I wanted to include them too. As a matter of fact, I'm making this the title of the video. I think it's so wonderful and such a beautiful way to summarize the Dharma. Now, just a couple of things before we start here. I am using the word Dharma in more in Theravada contexts where I think it's known that everyone involved is immersed in the Theravada tradition. You're more likely to hear Dhamma because this is the Pali word. But in English, the word Dharma, which is the Sanskrit equivalent, exact same meaning, Dharma is much more popular, and I'll put up the Ngram viewer results there. So I use the word Dharma, but just keep in mind, sometimes you'll hear Dhamma as well. Another thing, I wanted to share a quote from Kabir Helminski's great book, The Mysterion. And he has in order to share it, let me just see if I can copy and paste. Yes. So he says here, and now this book, I should say, is about the equivalent of loving kindness as it's found in Sufism. And he has this in the introduction right here. In the vocabulary of Sufism, if I could say that word, certain words are not mere labels to name things, but lenses through which to see. And again, I'll put a link to the that book in the description. Now, I think this is, I think this applies here. This applies to so many things when we're studying spiritual teachings, certainly the Buddha's teachings. And I am not going to spend a huge amount of time on each one of these descriptions of the Dharma, or even the word Dharma. I invite you, dear listener, dear viewer, to plumb the depths of each of these words. These could be made into mantras. We can really sink into these words, and we just don't have the time here. And you can probably do a much better job of that than I can. So, like I said before, this description of the Dharma here is found down here. We're going to stick with this one in the Dīghanikāya. We'll read this through, and then we will give this translation of it. Again, knowing that each of these words has a vast array of meanings. So just keep that in mind when we write out a translation like this. We kind of have to settle on a word or two to help us focus in on the meaning, but we can sit with these words for much longer, and they will become even clearer and give us a clearer picture of what the Dharma is. So this is, right here, dhammo. This is our word. This is our subject. This is what's being talked about. The Dharma, the teaching, the truth, the way things are. But I would say in this context, it's more, it could be the truth or the teaching. This is really the teaching that helps us understand the truth. Dhammo. And the dhammo is described here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I would say here 6 ways. And then there's this little added proclamation or insight here at the end. So we'll start here. The Dharma. Our first description actually comes first. Svākkhāto. And svākkhāto svākkhāto. This is an interesting case where we do have a long vowel followed by two consonants. Remember, this is actually one consonant and this is a second consonant. This means well proclaimed. And this is actually what happens. This sva is the result of su coming up against an or an say. Svākkhāto, well proclaimed. And this here we probably are familiar with Bhagavan or Bhagavā, well proclaimed by the Blessed One. This word itself is really interesting. In this particular instance, it's in the instrumental, proclaimed by. Kind of the agent is put into the instrumental case. Bhagavan or Bhagavant means possessing fortune, the Blessed One. Sometimes the Lord, Bhagavad Gita, the song of the Lord. And in that case, it's referring to Krishna. And to fill this out, we would say the Dharma is well proclaimed, or has been well proclaimed by the Blessed One. It is sandiṭṭhiko. Now I want to point out something here. This 1, 2, 3, we have 4 words here that all end in ko or iko. This is extremely similar to the way we form adjectives in English. If you think about a word like scientific coming from science, something like basic or artistic, words of that nature, characteristic. And that's because English and Pali are cousins. We are related. They are related languages going back to Proto-Indo-European. So these are all adjectives here, meaning that the base word is really sandiṭṭhi, and the actual, well, there would be 2 roots. There's sun, meaning with, and diṭṭhi, to see, or related to see one's gaze. Like in a yoga class, you might hear drishti, keep your drishti somewhere, your gaze. Samadhiṭṭhi, having the right outlook, the right viewpoint. And here, actually, sandiṭṭhi means the visible world, what's manifest in the world. And sandiṭṭhiko actually means visible here in the world, here and now. So it isn't something that we have to, this isn't, remember, we're talking about the Dharma. The Dharma is not something that is just especially revealed to a certain elect. It's not a revelation. It is here and now. We might need someone to point out how to see it. It's not extremely easy to see necessarily on our own, but it's here. It's visible in this world. So that's a very important aspect of the Dharma, as well proclaimed by the Blessed One. It is also akāliko. Kala means time. Akāliko might mean something like timely. Akāliko maybe timeless. But in this sense of timeless, meaning now, right now. Again, we don't have to wait. It is, the Dharma is nowish. We might even say. I kind of like that, nowish. Ehipassiko. Now this is 2 words that have been put together and made into a single adjective. Ehi and passi are both, they're both imperatives. They're come and see. It's a come and see ick. It's a come and see kind of Dharma. Again, it's one that you can test. It's not, you might take it on faith that there is something to it, but it's something that you and I are called upon to come and see for ourselves. Opaneyyiko. Opaneyyiko, I think it's actually, when you find this in other books, I think it's more commonly opaneyyiko. This is how the tipitaka.org website has it most of the time, so I leave it there. And this means that it's tending onward and or leading onward. And the idea is, where is it leading to? It's leading to nirvana. It's leading to kind of universal or enlightened consciousness. Maybe we could say it like that. But it's going to take us to nirvana. And this is another instance where the Sanskrit word is more popular. In Theravada, again, in settings, teachings, you more likely to hear nibbana. Again, exact same word, but in Pali or Sanskrit. Now, the last description here, veditabbo. Veditabbo means that this is our future passive participle here. Veditabbo means it should be known. It should be known, viññūhi, by the wise, paccattaṃ. Like individually, each wise person should know this for him or herself, I think is the idea here. This word is, I would say, very important, or comes up a lot, because the root of this is vid. So it gives us a word like vidya. Vidya meaning knowledge, and avidya, ignorance. And according to the Buddha, everything that we experience actually is a result of avidya, of our ignorance. And the teaching is to correct our avidya, is to bring us to seeing things with vidya. This word also, this Ved, comes up in the Vedas. It also, and obviously like Vedanta, the end of the Vedas. And it also, because this root has to do with not only knowing but perceiving, it shows up in like the Latin word videre, which gives us the word video. I mean, video in Latin means I see, but we know what video means. That's an English word. And I think it even gives us the word in English, wit. So, okay, so that is, this is the standard description of the Dharma. I think it's beautiful. I do invite us all to sit down. We could turn these, as I said, into mantras. We could contemplate these, and I think it brings great benefit to do that. But as I said, here in the Dīghanikāya, we have this little appended, I would say, a great proclamation. Apārutā amatassa dvārā'ti. We'll start here. This is the word for doors. This is a plural, nominative plural here. It's not too hard to imagine how this dvārā, might become an English word door. So it's not. We have at least have the D and the R there. So the doors, and then amatassa, of the deathless state, apārutā, are open. We could have a little bit of a poetic flair and leave it in this order. We could say open are the doors of the deathless, or that lead to the deathless state. One thing about amatassa here, now this word, if you look in daily Pali reading in the second chapter of the Dhammapada, this comes up, and we did a discussion there. The root of this word is actually mur, and that gives us a word like mortal in English, and it has to do with death. Amrta is the deathless, immortal. So the doors to, the immortal state, the deathless state, but also that this is an elixir that would grant immortality. So you can almost say it's like the door. It depends on just what kind of image you have in your head, but that the doors are open, maybe that you can take, you can avail yourself of this elixir of immortality. But the meaning, I think, is pretty clear here, that the Dharma is allowing us to access amatta, the deathless state. So, dear listener, I'm sure I've left out many things that could be said here, but I wanted to put this out, wanted to get your reaction, and I always greatly benefit from your comments. So any comment you have, please do leave. And with that, peace.